Welcome back, Lisa Renna. I've missed you so much since your family packed their bags, loaded them in your mouth, and skipped town.
And does it match the blood you found inside Mr. Simpson's Bronco?
Yes, it's all from the same individual.
Then you mean all this time we could have been friends?
Judges your score.
Tell us what you don't like about yourself.
I'd like to go to Dreamland.
I'll take you there.
Who are you?
I'm Constance Langdon, and this is my fucking house.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Ryan Murphy Project, a podcast where we take a look at the life and career of one of TV's most prolific showrunners. I'm Eric.
And I am Andrew.
Welcome to another episode, another pilot, another journey, if you will. We have a very exciting episode for you this week. We don't want to waste any time because it was a long one. I don't know if it wasn't really a long episode. It was a normal 40-something minutes. But
there's
I feel like we have a lot to talk about.
There's a lot here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be talking.
We're going to be gabbing again.
So yeah, this week we're talking about Scream Queens.
How exciting.
So, I'm really excited. I think let me see. So when I was watching, I'm like, God, this is so... What era did we put this Ryan Murphy in?
This is the last of the Glee era.
Yeah, he was so powerful at this point.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that he
like-
chose to do Scream Queens because it could have very easily just been an episode or a season of American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Like, it basically was.
Well, this happened after American Horror Story Coven, because then, and after Freak Show too, because then Madison Montgomery, who is a character on Coven, played by Emma Roberts too, was like so popular.
Yeah.
And then I feel like this show is like, I don't know, like it's like a sister to that or something, to that character. Like he kind of just like changed her a little bit, gave Emma her own show.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Fox was probably like, we like the horror stuff, but like, can we get like maybe a little more PG for a network show? And Ryan was like, I'll see what I can do.
That's a good Ryan impression.
Oh, thank you. It'll get better as we go. But we should mention that this show was created and written by Brad, Ian, and Ryan. Their first collaboration since Glee.
And that makes a lot of sense. It definitely has the same sort of taste.
Yes.
It's like... But adding that American Horror Story something, not even the horror, because it's not too much horror. It's very campy horror, if anything.
Mm-hmm. And this was the first show of Ryan's after I left college that came out, you know? Except for The New Normal, but like, who cares about that? Even though we're talking about
not
it.
Not us. Problematic ass show.
I know. This was like the first show after, post-college where I watched it as like an adult. And it was such like a formative time out here in LA that it kind of is like embedded in those first few struggling years that I had out here, you know?
Yeah.
So
I remember watching this show and the same thing in Chicago because it came out 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I feel I vibe with that too much because I was watching it with. I don't want to name drop him, but my ex.
I would watch with my old roommate too. So I feel like it's tied to that in the same way Glee and American Horror Story are tied to our first few years as friends. So it'll be interesting to relive those 13 weeks again.
What's gonna happen when we get to like the shows that we haven't watched, where we're just not friends at that point? Like the politician era. No,
we're still in the politician era because the politician actually just came out yesterday. We're recording this on June 20th, first day of summer. The politician came out yesterday, so we're still in that era, baby.
Are you gonna watch it?
Yeah, I said yes very quickly, but now that we're doing this, I probably won't. Because to be honest, I really liked the first season, but I don't think I'm in a need to rush to watch the second season before we do this. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Even though it won't be for like a year.
I know you're like this. By season 3 will be out by that point.
Well, he said that we'll talk about this in the politician episode, but he said season 3 won't be for a while.
Okay. Well, to get back to Scream Queens, I remember when this was announced, I was really excited about it, and it had a really flashy cast.
Yes.
It was like Ariana Grande, Nick Jonas, Keke Palmer, Rachel Berry, Niecy Nash, like these huge names. and he made careers too, but like Glenn Powell, like that. I feel like this was the first time I ever saw him.
Yeah, this was definitely one of his early works, and probably something he's, I don't know, most recognizable for now. I think he's in the new Top Gun, though.
He's in the new Top Gun.
Yeah.
Flashy
and when they announced this, I don't know if they said, I feel like they did say that it was going to be an anthology series like American Horror Story.
I think they did, yeah.
But that didn't actually happen,
No.
kind of. It was a new world, but kind of some of the same characters that survived the first season.
Yeah, they were probably like, wow, everyone loves the Chanels.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how could you not? But like, so it's like, yeah, let's keep them next season.
So let's read a little bit from their wiki page. Scream Queens is an American satirical comedy slasher television series that aired on Fox from September 22nd, 2015 to December 20th, 2016. The series was created by Ryan, Brad, and Ian and produced by Murphy, Falchuk, Brennan, and Alexis Martin Woodall, who did also, I think she did almost everything that Ryan did up to that point and to now. The first season takes place at the fictional Wallace University and was filmed in New Orleans. It follows a sorority, Kappa Kappa Tau, which becomes plagued by a serial killer who uses the university's Red Devil mascot as a disguise. It's a pretty good summary right there.
Yeah, I like that.
One of the things that, watching this, I kept coming back to is Greek life and our experience in Greek life.
I know. I'm surprised that, well, especially within this first part of the pilot episode, how much it kind of like leans into that Greek life and the negative side of it too.
Yeah.
And like we talked about in our pilot episode, we were both in the same fraternity.
We were. Why'd you get it like that?
When you tell people that in like real life now, do people like have a reaction to it?
I don't want to say I'm embarrassed to bring it up, but nobody in LA cares. You know, so there's no reason for me to ever really bring it up. When I do, it's usually around people who I can feel like also were in Greek life.
Oh my God, I totally
So there's
know
some
what you mean.
commiserating there, or at least there's some interest in hearing and swapping stories. But I would definitely say with each passing year, I bring it up less and less.
Yeah, I agree.
But do I remember everything? Oh, bitch, it's still locked away in a trauma case in my brain.
Whenever, I'm not embarrassed to bring it up, but you know, because it is particularly something, people are always like, oh, you would be.
Yeah.
People always say that about that to
Yep.
me, and I'm like, well,
sorry, I have a great
I
personality and people like me.
I know. You know, I don't know. I mean, I still own it. There's like a certain sense where, obviously I wouldn't have had so much without it. So
Yeah.
you know, like without joining a fraternity, there's so much steps. Everything in life is a domino effect, you know? So, I mean, I respect it for that. There's certain things I forget because I was very drunk, but obviously I have you out of it. BFF.
Yeah, I don't regret it at all. I cherish the experiences we had and especially the friendships, true friendships that we made. And
But do you
fun experiences.
Do
to look
you
back on.
see the problematic stuff in it now?
I mean, I always saw the problematic stuff in it. I don't know. Like you said in the first episode, like I was a founding father, so it was a group of us that started the SAE chapter at Kutztown, and for me, it was more like just doing it with my friends, kind of thing, and having a group and having a bond and being in a fraternity. I always saw like the racist roots and you know kind of the uppity, pretentious side of it of that whole culture as a whole. But we were so different that it never really crossed my mind at Kutztown because we were pretty diverse. Half the fucking chapter was gay or closeted.
God, let me tell
So I don't
you.
think I don't think we were like a stereotypical fraternity in that sense. So it was a different experience that I enjoyed.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think like if we just narrow it down to like our fraternity that we were in, yes, there's so much like life and fun and secret gay secrets.
Yeah, a lot of gay secrets in a fraternity.
Lots of gay secrets. Yeah, I don't know. I guess like I don't think about it too often. But then like watching it now, or like if if my nephew, who's going to the same school that we went to, like wants to join a fraternity, I feel like I would still be like, yeah, do it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
without really. There's certain things that I look back, I'm like, oh God, that's horrible. Just like in life, that obviously with 2020 eyes, I'm like, oh no. But I don't see it too much with like fraternity stuff. I just don't bring it up anymore.
Yeah.
Because I don't live in the past. Come on.
2020
No,
eyes,
I'm
baby.
I'm present.
I want to talk about something because like I feel like each week we've kind of like tried to blow through these episodes and we haven't really slowed down to breathe. We're just trying to get through the pilots to establish the world and all that kind of stuff. But we haven't really talked about what's going on in our current lives. We haven't really talked about what's going on in our current lives. Do you
have something to tell me?
Can you tell us? Can you tell us about this fucking moth on your porch?
Oh, God bless. I found. I can't believe you're bringing up the moth. Literally,
I'm just so thrown
here.
by the entire thing, so I need to.
Well, I get obsessed with things for a week.
Sure.
And then that's what it is. But yeah, I was actually sitting here before you hopped on, just drawing moths.
Casual.
Because I'm crazy. But I found a moth outside my door, and it's this beautiful, huge moth, probably like at least the size of my pinky finger. And then I had brought her in because I thought she was dying. And
you
then
brought her in the house?
night, yeah, I brought her in the house.
Oh my God.
And then at night she started flying around, and I heard her. I was like, oh my God, she's alive. And then I put her out on the back porch. And then she just stood there, and I just had on my little chair out there a mask, to wear. And she just found her little spot on the mask, and then she was just there for a day. And I was like, "Oh my God, you're blessing the house!" And I didn't do the whole like look up the symbolism of a moth thing. My sister had sent me a screenshot of it though.
So you didn't
she did
have
the
to.
research. I didn't have to, but I was just like, she's blessing the house. And then she had babies. She had eggs.
Wow.
And so that's probably where she was sedentary for a couple days. And, she was just incredibly beautiful. I've never seen a moth like that. I did some research. Well, basically, I asked Instagram, what sort of moth is this? And then they knew.
It's
so
huge.
now, actually, right behind me, it's the eggs. So I'm going to see if I could. The eggs might not be fertilized. She might have just had eggs. So I'm going to see if she.
Wait, you took them inside?
Anything. Well, I brought the eggs out from the mask, and then I put them in a jar.
They need to be outside. When they hatch, they need to fly away. You're going to trap them in a jar and not get any air.
That's not how science works.
Well, you know what, bitch? Get the fucking moths out of your home.
It's very similar to a caterpillar. You're a little larva thing, and then you grow and you eat, and then you cocoon, and then you're a butterfly or a moth.
Wow. Sounds dangerous.
So I'm a mothologist. I trademarked that. So
I'm just thrown by how fucking huge this moth was, and how like buddy you got with it.
I know. Well, it doesn't have a mouth, so it wasn't gonna bite me or anything. I love animals.
Looking.
I love animals. There's been plenty of times in my life where I'm like, I gotta save that animal.
It's like, that's someone's dog, Andrew.
Oh God.
Do you want to read? Are you on the wiki?
Yeah. All right. So the series premiered in September 2015, and Ryan Murphy stated that in every episode, a cast member will be killed off, saying it's very much like 10 Little Indians, which I don't know. Is that problematic? There's a real. I don't know. That's a movie. That's a movie.
It's a movie.
I don't know. Oh, that's a song. I don't know, Ryan. Anyways,
I thought it was a movie too.
there's a real tune-in factor because it's who's gonna be picked off this week, and also who's the killer. Every episode, you get clues to who the killer is, and then all the clues accumulate. The series will not be completely anthological in nature. Anthological, thank you. In nature, with Ryan stating, whoever survives, and there will be people who survive, they will go on next season to a new location in a new terror.
Oh, okay.
Unlike other seasons, then we were so wrong. unlike American Horror Story, which obviously is a new world, new season.
Should we listen to 10 Little Indians?
Yeah, let's do it. Maybe we could say 10 little. Oh my God!
10 little Indians standing in a line. One toddled home, and then there were 9. 9 little Indians swinging on a gate. One tumbled off, and then there were 8.
If you look on the 10 Little Indians
I
Wikipedia
just saw
page,
it, bitch. I know what you're gonna say.
Cut it all, Eric. Cut all of it.
Bitch. It is generally thought that this song was adapted possibly by Frank J. Green in 1869 as 10 Little N-Words, though it is possible that the influence was the other way around, with 10 Little N-Words being a close reflection of the text that became 10 Little Indians. Either way, 10 Little N-Words became a standard of the blackface minstrel shows.
Yeah,
wow.
Ryan, why are you quoting that? Either way, it seems fucked up because then it's like, then there were 8, then there were 7.
Yeah, so basically
it's
it's about killing off Indians. Wow. Yeah, it is problematic. I thought it was a movie.
Eric, we should say Native Americans.
Falchuk went on to say, also, I guess in this interview, by the end of episode 1, somebody's going to figure it out who the killer is, because that's what people do. I don't think it'll take anything away from anything. So basically he's saying the killer is in this first episode. We see them unmasked.
Okay.
We unmasked. We know who we know the killer's going to be one of these people.
Oh, okay. Oh, well.
So that's interesting.
Maybe. I actually don't remember who the killer is.
I do. That's good. I'm glad you don't. I won't tell you.
I'm not going to look it up either, but I'm just like, was it you?
It wasn't me, no. I wish. Okay, yeah, let's get into the pilot.
All right, so it starts off in 1995. The first thing I noticed was great music. That's all. Like, the music choices overall in this episode are really fun and spooky and retro, nostalgia, 90s, 80s sort of thing.
I mean,
so they're...
Find me a Ryan Murphy show with bad music, and I will tell you you're a liar, you know?
Oh, well, I guess we'll have to see how the new normal goes. So they're at a sorority party, we find out. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's red cups, there's 90s music.
It's 1995.
It's 1995. And then one of the sorority sisters comes downstairs with very bloody hands.
So much blood.
And then the other sorority sister's like, what did you just get your period? And it's like, okay.
All right, here we are. This is what we're doing here.
This is it. And she's like, no, you need to go upstairs.
Yeah, so they go upstairs and they find one of the sorority sisters in a bathtub, covered in blood, and she just gave birth to a baby.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, I didn't know I was pregnant. I thought I was having a bread baby.
Yeah,
That's
she's like, I thought I was the freshman 15. Which, like, bitch, come on. So, yeah, she gave birth, and then the other 3 sorority girls are freaking out, and they're calling her a slut and basically just, like, shaming her for interrupting the party, and it's very, like, you can tell the tone is very, like, we don't take anything seriously as sorority sisters, you know?
Yeah. I think this kind of... Well, wait, what do you mean by that, actually? Like, the sorority sisters themselves are shallow? Or the show
that's probably
itself?
A better way to say it.
Mm.
They're
really, the show does...
They're really stereotypical sorority girls, but to the nth degree.
Yeah, like, if you think the show kind of, like, lives and breathes off of the idea that's established, like, in Mean Girls and in Heathers and in any sort of, like, teen thing, it's like a group of 3 with a leader, and they're both bitchy, shallow, horrible people. And you see throughout the show, like, the generations of that are produced from Kappa Kappa Tau.
Yep.
So then the Kappa Kappa Tau queen comes in, and she's just like, "No, I'm not having a baby at my party."
Yeah, not again.
And so she's just like, I didn't know all that stuff. The queen is like, I am not missing waterfalls. TLC's waterfalls for this because waterfalls is my jam.
Yep.
and they leave the girl who just had the baby in the bathtub, and they have a quick montage of them just like waving their hands side to side to waterfalls. I was like, that's the whitest shit I've ever seen.
Yep.
Just like, why that to waterfalls?
Yeah.
That's not even that sort of song. You think about that song. You don't wave your hands at a party, bitch.
And then they go back upstairs and they find the sister dead in the bathtub. And the sister that originally found her is sitting next to her holding her baby.
I wonder if that baby is going to be like,
Well, it is.
Oh, okay, good. That's
Spoiler
what I remember,
alert.
Sort of thing. Thank God I have a horrible memory.
So she's dead, and that's it. That's the title card. That's the cold open. A great cold open. Establishes the world, establishes the kind of characters we're going to meet, adds a little mystery. Whose baby is this? Who was this woman that died? How did all this happen? Who's the father? Things we're going to uncover as we go on. But that's not really the main mystery. That's just kind of some backstory.
Yeah.
When we come back from the title card, no intro. We jump into 2015.
Good morning, sluts.
Chanel Oberlin wakes up and her VO kicks in.
Well, that's funny that she says good morning, sluts, because that's what you say every day to me. No.
That's true. It's either slut or bitch.
So then we see the wonderful and charismatic Emma Roberts. Perfectly
Wow, did you
cast.
write down the wonderful and charismatic?
No,
I'm just stating facts.
My notes say Emma with 2 exclamation points. All right. So because this is a great. I just love her as this character, Chanel Oberlin, especially when it came out. I was a Chanel,
Sure.
So we're introduced to Chanel Oberlin. I don't know if she really says in the VO.
Good morning, slits.
Good morning, Chanel.
My name is Chanel Oberlin, and I am the queen of Kappa Kappa Tau. These are my minions. I don't know their names. I don't want to know their names. They are known as Chanel number 2.
Chanel number 3.
Chanel number 5. I'm Chanel number 1, obvi. There was a Chanel number 4, but she got meningitis. She was like, I'm sick, I have to go home. And I was like, no, stay. But she went home anyway, and then she died. So another thing I was right about. A lot of people talk smack about how sororities are exclusive and they're a class system. Well, guess what? Life is a class system. And a sorority is the one place left in the world where you get to pick and choose the people around you.
She wakes up, she's talking in her head. We find out that she's very much like the Waterfalls bitch. Stuck up, self-centered. Has a little group of minions. Chanel number 2, played by Ariana Grande.
Pause. I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm an Ariana Grande stan.
Oh, you are?
I am.
Wow.
I actually love her for no reason, but I do. And I love. There's so much I like about her.
She's an unproblematic queen.
She is. She's very problematic.
She is problematic?
Yeah. Yeah, she definitely she's not any sort of.
Oh, well, she's like, the
maybe
white
Italian at best, but she's a white girl that has very dark skin all the time from a self tanner.
That's true, yeah.
And she definitely takes from like black culture, trap music, all of that stuff. I like the celebrity of her, and I like her voice. And another random side note: I'm not a Lady Gaga gay, but I do like "Rain on Me" because of Ariana. So,
hold up, you're not a Gaga gay?
No, I don't stand Gaga.
After our whole conversation about you coming out to Born This Way?
Well, I came out to Born This Way, but that doesn't. I'm not like infatuated with Gaga.
Oh, interesting.
Like I respect her obviously, but I'm not like.
That's funny because I am a Gaga stan, but I hated Chromatica.
Oh, I did too. I'm not dancing nowhere.
No. But you know who our joint stan is, who's coming out with an album in September? You don't know?
No.
Adele?
Oh yeah, Adele. I feel like she's more of an October album, but either way.
Yeah, it's usually November, but she said September, so I'm sticking her to it, It's been 5 years, bitch. 5 years since she put out an album.
Wow.
You know how different the world has been?
Yeah.
Oh, bitch. Yeah, so we meet Ariana Grande, Chanel number 2. Billie Lourd, Chanel number 3.
The intro
this is our
of
first
Billie Lourd.
Billie Lourd intro, right? This is our first time we're seeing her in the world?
Yep. Then she's in Star Wars movies after this, and then she's in American Horror Story a lot too.
Yep. He also said that he's developing a show for her. So that'll be interesting.
So she's one of his girls.
Yeah. And then Chanel number 5, played by Abigail Breslin, who is just.
I didn't even write her down in my notes.
So don't be disrespectful to Chanel number 5. She has it hard. God damn it. And then they go through a montage of picking out Chanel's purse and getting dressed and being fancy and walking in formation. And then they walk downstairs and we see Mrs. Bean, who is their housemaid.
That obese specimen of human filth scrubbing bulimia vomit out of the carpet is Miss Bean. I call her White Mammy because she's essentially a house slave. Watch this. Excuse me, White Mammy?
You're not allowed to call me that.
Sorry, I have a question, and it's just a hypothetical. If I asked you if you knew something about birth and babies, or if you didn't know nothing about birth and no babies, what would you say?
I'd say I don't know.
Don't know.
I don't know nothing about birth and no babies.
Amazing, thank you. Oh, still a lot of puke to scrub.
Which is like, obviously, like, throw the music in now, bitch, because... This is one of the most racist pilots that I think we're going to see, or racist episodes. There's so much race commentary in this.
But I was thinking, like, what is different about, like, because this whole VO of Chanel is like, oh my God, you're a horrible girl.
Yeah.
But, like, it doesn't feel as horrible and heavy as the New Normal did last week, you know? I don't know what that is.
Man, I don't know. It's crazy that both of these, I think, are so far the most problematic. And they were back to back. So clearly he was on his shit when he wrote these two.
Yeah, because I was thinking, like, this is something to be said about Ryan. I think, and I just, like, I would like to talk about that maybe at some point. Like, why do we think that Ryan, specifically as, like, a white guy, goes so hard, and is it okay?
Yeah,
you know?
That is definitely something I thought about between this and the New Normal that we need to unpack.
I think we kind of naturally pass him because the actors do such a great job at delivering it.
Yeah.
Like Emma Roberts delivers, but the New Normal characters did not.
Yeah.
And none of them, in my opinion, except for Nana.
Who
Nana
had the
was
most
good.
problematic moments, you know?
Yeah.
And then same thing with Jane Lynch and Nene Leakes, and you know, he gives the problematic things to people that can deliver problematic lines, which I guess you're right. That is kind of why we accept it.
Yeah, but what the fuck is he trying to say? Like, is it just pure comedy?
Yeah,
you know, is it just to make us laugh?
It just seems like he's making fun of these people a lot of the time, right?
I guess it's like, well, then it's like in the same vein as like a Family Guy. Then, you know, it's just like saying crazy things just to make you laugh. But maybe I expect more from Ryan because of how he has positioned himself as like, well, maybe sometimes I don't expect a lot from him either, because he's really a champion of like white gay people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And women.
Yeah, women, and then like a few people of color that he keeps bringing back.
Yep. We see that scene, how she treats Miss Bean, and we see the girls' dynamic, and clearly Chanel number 5 is the underdog in this whole thing. She's treated like shit by Chanel. You can see that it's not anything new. She's used to being the punching bag. She doesn't seem like she likes it. There's a quick shot of her like trying to process and you know, push down her feelings.
Sure.
So maybe they're hinting at her being the killer. I don't know.
But
by the end of this pilot, I'm going to tell you that everyone's the killer. And then we hear Miss Bean tells Chanel that the dean wants to see her. And then we intro Dean Munch, played by the great Jamie Lee Curtis.
JLC, as I like to call her.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, so that was something that I originally had been really excited about when casting this show, is that Jamie Lee Curtis was in here. Because
I mean, you can't have a show about Scream Queens and not have the original
without
Scream Queens.
without the original Scream Queen. I mean, Halloween was one of the first slasher movies, and obviously that's where Jamie Lee got her start. And then Jamie continued to be in horror movies. She was in Prom Night, she was in The Fog, she was in Terror Train, and then she kind of like backed off of that for a long time. She did another Halloween sequel in the early 2000s that were bad. Well, Halloween H2O was really good. And so then...
And now she's back doing more.
And now she's back doing more. So this was kind of like, in my opinion, just like her intro back into horror and sort of owning that Scream Queen thing. Because, you know, after that, there's been a lot of Scream Queens. Like, you know, like Neve Campbell, Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of a Scream Queen. If I was ever an actress instead of a comedian, I would be a Scream Queen.
So we introduced Dean Munch, and she hates Greek life. She's very anti-Greek life. She pulls out the file of Kappa Kappa Tau, tells her they've had so many violations that the previous dean, who died mysteriously over the summer, did not hold them accountable. She had nothing to do with it. So basically, she says Greek life's getting out of hand, and now that she's dean, she's going to fix it. And then we flash back to Chanel, because she brings up the incident that happened last spring, and Kappa Kappa Tau's former president, who was also a big bitch and also had a trio of minions, Emma Roberts is one of those early minions, and she does something that like annoys the president. I forget what it was, and she kicks her out. But Emma's like, "Let me give you your spray tan first." It's like clearly her weekly assignment to give this girl her spray tan. And she says, "No, get out. You're not coming with me on my private jet to Punta Cana for spring break or some bullshit." So Chanel leaves, and then one of the other girls picks up the spray brush to spray tan the president. She goes, "Make me look like Jada Pinkett Smith."
I know, and I was like, oh, God, because it's like the skinniest blonde white girl.
Yeah.
Like getting this crazy spray tan and this crazy house.
Do you think that was like an attack at Ariana? Like a slight to her and without her knowing?
Yeah, that could be something,
Drama.
but that'd be rude as fuck.
That'd be so catty and bitchy.
We're starting a rumor right now.
He did it. So she's spraying her, and she starts to fucking melt because there's acid in the spray tan.
Hydrochloronic. No, I don't know.
I just said acid.
Just acid. So yeah, she's getting burned, but then there you go. But then the girl keeps going. She's like,
yeah, what?
Hum it along.
Like she's standing there screaming. The bitch doesn't move. The other bitch doesn't stop spraying. Like, that annoyed me. Yeah.
The curtain comes down, because there's a curtain.
Yeah.
And then old queen falls to the ground. The girls run out, and then actually I was surprised by this. The first appearance of the Red Devil.
Yeah, so we see her we see the devil first in I said her. We see the devil first in Are there more than one? We see the devil first in the eyeball of the president, which is a really cool shot. And this episode was directed by Ryan again. It was a really cool shot, and then we turn around and we see the devil, and he flails away with his cape, which is so gay.
He's a very gay slasher, yeah.
He is a gay slasher, yeah. And we see the devil for the first time, which is interesting. I love. What do you think about this monster? Because the first few seasons of American Horror Story, the monsters were very unique. Like Leatherface was really great. Papa Legba in season 3. The guy in season 4, the Two Faces. Like every season was like really the murderer was really cool, and I was excited to see this one. And it was simple. It was just a devil, and I loved that.
Yeah, I love the design of this slasher. It's like super sleek, shiny. All of his little instruments that he has are also like that red.
Yeah.
So he's clearly gay. You know, he's OCD. You know, he's like. So yeah, I think it's a simple. It's not, I guess, menacing.
It's unsettling.
You know, like. Yeah. There's something about it.
And then they wanted to make it obviously modern, chic, and sleek, just like the times. They wanted it to kind of shadow that, because you think of like Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees, their masks are really crusty and their outfits are like mechanic overalls and just like So I'm really into the devil. Then we cut back to Dean Munch's office and we intro Gigi, played by Nasim Pedrad, right? Who's it?
Yes.
Yeah. And she is the president of Nationals, but she's dressed in like a 90s attire, very like Tiffany at the mall.
Yeah, I know.
Which is the first thing Emma calls out.
She just pops in and she's just like, and then she just starts delivering lines too. She's really funny.
Yeah, she's great.
I'm glad that she's in this show.
You represent everything that is wrong with young girls nowadays, and I'm gonna take you and that so-called kingdom you call a sorority down, and I'm gonna start by revoking its charter.
Chanel, I can take it from here. Gigi Caldwell, hi. I'm president of the national chapter of Cap and Tau.
What is that skirt?
It's Forenza? Yeah. So, you can't revoke our charter. I'm so sorry. That'll be up to the Board of Trustees.
Your organization might want to find a lawyer.
I am the lawyer. I graduated summa cum laude from a 4th-tier law school in the Caribbean, so I'm a pretty smart cookie.
So that's kind of like we intro Munch's journey, what she is trying to get out of the season, you know?
Yeah.
She wants to basically destroy and dismantle Greek life. So Emma leaves and Gigi says, I think I can find us a compromise. So her and Dean Munch have a conversation.
Mm-hmm. They strike a deal.
And then there's actually one more problematic line I want to bring up in this.
Oh, God. What?
Gigi goes, it's an all-white party. Everyone's encouraged to dress and be white. Like, what the fuck? I feel like this line is like... this line solidified the other lines for me in the sense that he's just making it blatant that he thinks all Greek life is racist. And a lot of it is. A lot of its roots were embedded in racism. A lot of them started in the South. So, you know, it's clear that was definitely a part of it, you know?
Yeah, ours did. Yeah.
But I feel like he's beating a dead horse with this point, you know?
Well, I don't know if he's like specifically targeting Greek life here. I think, you know, because they're coming up with themes for parties, you know, or like things that they could do as a sorority. But then, like, there's so many parties that are white party themed, and you can only wear white going into it. And I think that's something itself that should be looked at, because then why white, you know?
Yeah.
And then is that still sort of like mentally, culturally appropriate at this point, you know? Or should it be something a little bit different? So then him kind of like sly jabbing like a white party where you wear white and you should be white is like kind of, I think, just kind of him poking at that sort of idea too.
Yeah. And obviously, especially, I mean, even today still, parties are problematic. Theme parties are problematic.
Oh, God.
Boats and hoes, where women come dressed as
Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo.
Do not wear sombrero.
People dressing like Native Americans, people dressing like, you know, people doing blackface, all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely still prevalent in Greek culture.
Well, yeah, because then Greek culture gets in trouble for that so fucking much.
Yeah.
Not our fraternity, but our fraternity in other places definitely got in trouble for so much.
Yep.
So then this is just another part where I like, this is the most boring part of the episode. It's like when I have to go to Home Depot, I just like put my brain out of my head and I just deal with it.
Yeah, here's a little sprinkle of exposition for you.
We are in the car. We're introduced to one of the leads, and her name is Grace, played by Skylar Samuels. Mm-hmm. And she was actually in the first couple episodes of Freak Show. I think she was held up in the bus for a while with Twisty the Clown. Yeah. So, and then she kind of came over to this show afterwards. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Skylar Samuels, and then her dad. I forget who plays her dad.
Her dad is Oliver Hudson, Kate Hudson's brother.
Oliver Hudson. Oh, wow. Kate Hudson. Mm-hmm. That was the gayest gasp I've ever done.
That was a pretty good gasp. Kate is connected to the show somehow?
Crisscross. So yeah, they're in the car. Oh, God. And then the dad he's into playlists. That's a character thing.
Yeah.
He's just into playlists. So whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah.
So then he's like, I have a driving Grace to college song. And then they play the most basic wedding songs of wedding songs.
Yeah.
Like literally, I tell you not, my most boring brother had this at his wedding. And I remember thinking at that time, I'm just like, who else in this year has had this? One step close. Play a clip of that. It's like it's so fucking stupid.
I'll drop a little taste. I'll put it under us talking.
You're dropping her off at college, all right? That's what you're doing. You're not dropping her off at her wedding.
Yeah,
bitch.
Well, they say it's because it's in the Twilight soundtrack, and that was one of the first movies they saw together.
I must have checked out.
Yeah, you were at Home Depot. So we find out just some basic facts about this relationship. It's Gracie's, she's a freshman. She's moving into her dorm. Her mom was a Kappa. She wants to be a Kappa. Her dad doesn't want her to be a Kappa. He tells her how awful sorority girls are. Her mom died when she was 2.
Mm-hmm. There was a fire at some point, but her mom didn't die in the fire. But there was a fire, so mystery.
What happened in that fire, girl?
I know. Who set it up?
Speaking of Fire Girl, do you think that Gracie will be our final girl?
Yeah, they're putting it. She's boring enough for that. You know?
Yeah. She's just boring enough.
Well, then eventually they get to the dorm and they have a planned goodbye, right? There's nothing else we find in the car. Oh, the planned goodbye. Yeah, that was cute.
Okay, you don't seem sold, but all right, we can move on. And then we introduce Keke Palmer, Zayday.
Yeah, Zayday Williams.
Who I have to say, as a young gay growing up, I did watch, True Jackson VP on Nickelodeon. It was a show I frequented. It was after iCarly. So I've always been a fan of Keke Palmer, but more so after Scream Queens, and now she's like this adult woman who like gives these great speeches and is just fucking confident and strong, and like to say I'm a Keke Palmer stan would be an understatement.
I also really love. I had the same sort of thing. Like I followed her after this. Now she is actually on Good Morning America. I'm pretty sure she's with Michael Strahan and the other person.
Yeah, the girl from
the other
View.
Girl. And then she has a real. If you don't follow her on Instagram, it's a really funny Instagram. She just like does random shit too, and she has this like random character where she pretends to be like a really rich person and just kind of shits on this person named Janice. It's so funny. So yeah, she comes in like a ball of energy, Yes. And I thought that it's a good spice to the show.
Yeah. So some of the things we pick up in here, she says she's not afraid of anything. That's just a small thing, but I feel like it's interesting to see for someone to say that in a horror show. Is it something we'll go back to? Is she actually afraid of stuff? We'll see. And then she says, "I'm glad you're cool. I thought I'd get a cutter or a religious girl."
Zayday also wants to be the first black woman president, and that stays throughout this entire series.
Yes.
That's always like her motivator and her goal, and I like that that's never gone away, especially from just the pilot.
Yeah. And Gracie tells her that, every president, I think, has joined a Greek organization. So she tells her to join Kappa, and Zayday's like, "No, I'd rather kill myself," I think she says, or something.
Yeah.
And then Gracie tells her that, every president has been in one. It would look good for your resume if you did. And then she's like, "Okay, I'll come check it out."
So this is something that we missed when we were going over that horrible wedding song scene in the car. So Grace's mom was in Kappa Kappa Tau. I guess her dad doesn't tell her much about her mom because she's like, "I have this pin and it's Kappa Kappa Tau's pin. So if I go out for this sorority, then I'll be closer to my mom."
Yeah.
And he don't want her to do it. So in this scene, Grace is trying to convince Zayday to join with her.
Yeah. And then we cut to Grace outside the Kappa Kappa Tau house for the first time at night. And she sees the Devil Man for the first time in the bushes nearby.
Did you also notice that there was just like random string of like people, 3 girls in a white dress holding candles walking down the street?
Yes. So that's I think they took that just like from the rituals of sororities, because that is very much how a lot of them dress in their ritual part, the candles and white dresses and all that kind of stuff. So I think he just took that and then just put them outside to make it creepy in the area. You know, it's dark and they're holding candles and they look ominous, and then there's the devil behind them, and they kind of use the girls as like a way for the devil to disappear out of frame.
Okay.
So yeah,
I thought
really
it was
like
more
just
of
added
an
ambiance.
allusion to A Nightmare on Elm Street, because like when they sing like 1, 2, 3,
maybe.
that
I'm
whole
sure,
thing,
yeah.
there's like 3 little girls that are like, you know, doing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, definitely had that vibe. One thing I want to mention before we move forward is that this episode is in 2 parts.
Yeah.
Both parts were written by Brad, Ryan, and Ian. Part 1 was directed by Ryan. Part 2 was directed by Brad. So part 2 we will cover in the next episode of Scream Queens. This will just be part 1.
Yeah, we're going to do a 2-parter.
And Andrew is so excited about that.
I'm really excited about that.
So then we get inside the Kappa Kappa Tau house, and we have the first pledge meeting. We see Leah Michelle in the crowd with her neck brace on. We see a bunch of different girls. The house is packed. Abigail Breslin is talking to some of the girls, getting them, you know, excited for Rush and all this other kind of stuff. And then we see Gigi and Munch enter the house, and they give a little announcement.
Yeah, they announced to the group of girls that anyone can join Kappa Kappa Tau this pledge season.
Yep.
And all the girls are like, no, because that means, you know, there's no exclusivity, I guess, in it, you know?
Yeah.
So then they're left with like the outcasts and the rejects.
Yeah,
and
there's about 50
more fun
hot
people.
sorority girls that just leave the room because there's no challenge to getting in anymore, which inherently will make the sorority less popular. Yeah, and we're left with the leftovers, if you will.
But these leftovers seem fun because then we get what Eric likes to call a VO, which is a voiceover.
I do like to call it that.
Which is a voiceover from Chanel, because I guess Chanel didn't know because they had to go get her. She was upstairs doing whatever the fuck she was doing.
She makes Abigail Breslin slap herself for walking in her room without knocking.
I know. I know.
Yeah, and then Chanel comes downstairs and gives us a rundown of who's left.
So then we have Neck Brace, a.k.a. Hester, who's played by Leah Michelle. And then I have written, she smells like hot dog water.
Yeah.
Ew.
Gross.
Ew. Oh, and then another nickname, Deaf Taylor Swift, who is like a early Taylor Swift curly hair tall girl who just so happens to be deaf.
Yeah.
Then it cuts to Predatory Les. What do you have anything written down about Predatory Les and what she said?
No, but I do think that Ryan puts in predatory gay characters a lot, which is accurate. A lot of gay people are predatory.
Kind of
straight
like
people.
this one character from Glee. Sandy
Ryerson. And that's our Sandy Ryerson mention of the episode, folks.
There we go. We should have a sound for him. And then, last but not least, I don't know why she wasn't in this sort of like VO thing, but Dean Munch opens the door, and then comes Jennifer.
Yes, the candle blogger.
And Dean's like, a candle vlogger.
Excuse me.
She's like, I found this girl in the library all by herself, and she's just like this curly kind of haired girl. I guess you could say, I don't know if you're allowed to say frumpy anymore, but.
But if a bitch is frumpy, if she's wearing the frump suit, we'll call it out.
So we have those group of girls, Neck Brace, Death Taylor Swift, Predatory Les, Jennifer, and then we also have Zayde Williams, Grace.
And we can see clearly that this was Munch's plan, and this was Gigi's, you know, their way to, you know, kind of come together was to make Kappa accept all the pledges, which is crazy. We also find a little bit of a tidbit about Gigi while they're having like icebreaker conversations.
Oh, yeah.
Where Gigi says she had a traumatic experience in the 90s, which is why her therapist says she still dresses like she's in the 90s. What traumatic experience could have possibly happened in the 90s?
I don't know. I hope it wasn't in 1995.
Oh, no drama. We'll see. And then we jump to Two of the sexiest motherfuckers. I don't even care. Chad Radwell and Boone, played by Glenn Powell and Nick Jonas.
Listen, I think that they're both sexy, especially in this show.
Mm-hmm.
But I have always leaned Nick Jonas.
Honestly, I would probably choose Chad over Nick Jonas.
Oh yeah, he's a dirty blonde, and that's your whole shit.
Plus, he's like probably straight. You know, Nick Jonas might be bi. You heard it here first.
I like totally forgot about these guys too, especially that Nick Jonas was in here too.
Yeah.
So I was really glad to see him, and then it made me want to grow out my hair again. So I was like, should I?
I like your hair shorter.
Thanks. I do too in a lot of ways. But Nick had amazingly coiffed hair, and they're both golfing.
Sexy frat guys golfing on the quad. You know.
And then Chanel comes up to them. I don't know what she's talking about, but Chanel is dating Chad.
Yes. Well, kind of. It's a very degrading scene, and somebody puts Chanel in her place. We can see that Chad is kind of the only person that affects her in that sense.
Sure.
You know,
you're right. We also see that Nick Jonas has like a crush on Chad. Maybe a bro crush, maybe like an actual crush, because he's like sticking up for Chad. He's like, Chad is amazing.
Yeah. He's the LeFou to his Gaston.
Yes. Ooh, good one. Because they're gay in the update. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh my God, he is. That's exactly what it is, right?
Well, in the Disney way.
Yeah. So they're just talking about popularity. He doesn't date garbage people. I'm gonna put in a little clip of some of the things he says here because I wrote down 3 quotes that are just like wild.
But Chad.
Okay. I'm gonna stop you right there because I'm getting really pissed off. Chad is an amazing person. Chad Radwell is the president of the Dickie Dollar Scholars, and he's super hot, and he doesn't have time for this.
Are you fake crying? Stop fake crying. When you fake cry, you are so not hot. Oh.
I just think you are amazing, Chad. Anyone you dated would be popular. I mean, they would be popular because they're dating you.
Okay. Boone, thank you. Look, Chanel, I'm a psychology major, so I'm gonna break this down into terms that you'll understand. My ego, it's super strong, okay? But it's not strong enough that I can just go around dating garbage people. Like, yes, I could find a random girl who wasn't popular, and yes, if I started dating her, she would then become popular. Dude, that is a great idea for a movie. Somebody should make that movie. I would see that movie.
Me too.
But I can't go date a girl who was popular and then just stopped being popular.
Because that would be crazy.
It's crazy. And nobody's gonna go see that movie.
But you said you loved me.
I do sort of love you. I would love you a lot more if other people loved you too.
But then Chanel storms off crying and you know.
So then Chanel goes back and she kind of gathers up Mrs. Bean.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe that's when she says, you know, the sorority is going to be filled with fatties and ethnics now that they changed the rules. Let's go talk about my plan.
Yes.
And then they walk over to the coffee shop. Mm-hmm. So then I think this is an iconic scene. and random in so many ways of Chanel ordering her latte.
Yeah.
At 210 degrees. Mm-hmm. You know, and this is, so she wants
2 degrees
her pumpkin
below boiling.
spice. I know. She wants her pumpkin spice latte. So fucking hot. And her and the barista seem to have a history. So, there's something weird there. And then the barista is our first introduction to Pete the barista.
Played by Diego, what's his name?
I don't know.
Wow, that's rude.
I just don't care.
I just don't care about any of these people. Played by Diego Boneta? Diego Boneta. Sure, let's go with that. Yeah, we see that he has clearly a history with Chanel here. Chanel berates him for this coffee. Berates the barista, if you will. Miss Bean's just trying to order a fucking coffee and she won't let her. And so then she tells Mrs. Bean the plan. She's like, I'm going to burn your face off in the fryer to scare the new girl so that they all run out and we don't have any pledges. And Mrs. Bean goes, no.
It's like, no, don't.
No, thank you.
But why do these skinny girls even have a fryer?
It's true. They don't use that shit.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, obviously I'm going to turn the fryer off when I do it, but I'm going to dunk your head in front of them and you're just going to scream and pretend like I'm burning you, and then we'll scare them all away and, our problem will be solved.
Also in this little coffee shop, Grace and the first of many of her little Newsies hats comes. Mm-hmm. Her and her Newsies hat. I hate that look. So and then she kind of like mocks Chanel to Pete the barista.
Yeah.
And then they had immediately they're like flirty eyes, cuteness. They're gonna be something.
Yeah. And then when Grace leaves, she's outside and Pete runs after her because Grace tells him that she's rushing Kappa, and Pete's like, "No, you shouldn't do that." So Pete runs outside and he's talking to her and he's saying how he works for the school newspaper and he's trying to uncover everything that's going on in Kappa House and kind of pull back the curtain and reveal how awful Chanel is. And then Chanel comes up and tells them that Pete stalked her last semester, and she had to get a restraining order. And Pete goes, "Well, you shouldn't have led me on, yada, yada, yada. You were flirting with me." So maybe they hooked up, maybe they didn't, but basically he became kind of creepy to her that she got a restraining order.
She could just be dramatic, but he does have a really creepy, hectic energy about him, too.
Yeah, so
he's another one that we got to keep our eyes out
for
on.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. He's definitely a suspect in this entire little thing, especially like he's portraying himself as like the good investigator, but it's like, oh, but he's a creepy stalker too. Who is this guy? You know. So then we cut to the girls, Chanel's 2, 3, and 5, telling Chanel that Mrs. Bean has a Miss Bean. Is it Miss Bean or Mrs. Bean?
I have Ms.
Ms.
because I put respect on her name.
Oh, okay. Ms. Bean has a collage of Chanel with like X's on her face and her eyes are pulled out and devil horns, and it's just this huge thing on her wall in her bedroom that the girls discover. So Chanel freaks out.
So that was just the next scene
yes.
Like that they just are randomly in Bean's room, or they kind of stumble upon it. Yeah, another sort of like Ryan like cut fast scene thing.
Yeah. So then we see kind of what we think is the plan that Chanel and Miss Bean talked about going into motion. Chanel storms down the steps. The pledges are waiting there. She says, "I'm going to show you guys what you do when somebody disrespects you." And she rushes into the kitchen, and Mrs. Bean's standing there. And she dunks Miss Bean's face into the fryer as planned, but the fryer was on.
It was on.
Yep.
So then we have this really cool shot of like Bean in the fryer, getting her face burned off. She pulls herself out in front of all of the pledges, and then like starts pulling her face off like cheese pizza.
Yeah. Ugh.
You know, and I was like, oh god, but it looks so good. It looked really. I was like, that's no CGI.
Oh, you mean? I thought you meant like
delicious. the practical effects. Oh god, you're like, I'm in the mood for pizza now. No, like the practical effects of that were really good. And then after Bean pulls off her skin, she falls and dies.
Yeah.
Which I also questioned.
Well, she's in a lot of pain. She probably had a heart attack.
Oh.
She's dead. Well, of course she's dead. You just burnt her face off. Shut up. You don't die from getting your face burnt off. Yes, you do. She probably had a heart attack. Oh, my God.
I know. I know. Oh, my God.
So they're all freaking out. Miss Bean's dead in the kitchen. Gracie's like, "I'm going to call the campus police. Like, there's a dead body in the kitchen." And Chanel basically is like, "If you call the police, I'm telling them you did it." And she convinces all the pledges to back her. And so now
everyone
Grace,
but Zayday.
Obviously, Zayday is the ride or die. So they all just decide to help Chanel move the body to a meat locker.
Oh, and then while they're doing that, creepy Pete, the barista,
is back in the bushes.
Is there in the bushes watching. So.
Yep. And then she says, after they move the body, "We now all share a secret." So it's cute, you know?
I love sharing secrets. I love putting a burden of a secret onto somebody else so I don't have to live with all of it 100%. Do you want me to tell you one? I'll tell you one after the show.
And then we cut to a really fun scene.
Yeah, I
a
was
light
surprised
scene from the scary we just saw.
Yeah, it was. So Dean Munch is just in her bed smoking a cig, kind of reminiscing about her like feminist roots. You know, it's like, you know, I burned my bra, I threw bricks, I did this and that, and I just kind of said, okay, boomer, relax.
Yeah.
I don't even, I don't know if she's a boomer, but I'm going to say she is.
Sure.
But the surprise is that she's in bed next to dumbass Chad.
With a giant smile on his face. So excited that he got to sleep with the dean.
I know. I mean, I guess I would too.
Yeah. But yeah, she's like, I used to, she's like, I'm sitting in the very office I used to throw bricks into when I was protesting. She's basically just venting about how she wants to get rid of these sororities and how fucking awful they are and how awful the women are in them. And how she's a feminist and these women are, the antithesis of what
she don't understand millennial feminism.
No.
She just she disagrees.
And then she has a really great, I'm going to put this whole clip in here because I just love this interaction they have when she kicks Chad out of the bedroom.
You're awful in bed. Are you aware? I mean, just the worst.
What? Did I not take you there?
But could I've stooped to? Getting sex by blackmailing students on academic probation.
Look, I need to say something. I'm in love with you.
Well, of course you are. Because that's the only way the situation can get more depressing. Please leave.
I'm not surprised that Chad slept with her because he just kind of seems like that sort of guy.
Yeah, sure. And that's what I mean. Like it's not like him and Chanel are official or exclusive or anything like that. So, or maybe she thinks they are. I don't know.
I love that she was just kind of like smoking a cig like a joint because just like owning her.
Might have been a
own
joint.
room. True.
And then we cut to Pete and Gracie having a little date together. Pete says he knows about Bean because he saw them moving a giant body down the street. No offense to Miss Bean, but who else would they have dragged out of the house that big?
That's true.
And then she tells him, she's obviously shook from the whole incident, so she tells him she wants to be his inside person and give him the scoop to help his story. She wants to honor her mom, and she wants to destroy Chanel, basically.
And then she's like, all right, well, let's go to the body. Let's go see Bean.
Yeah.
So they go down to the frozen meat locker or whatever. They're there. And then another couple pops up, Chad and Chanel.
Yeah, before they can get in to the meat locker, Chad and Chanel walk in the room. So they hide. And we hear this like strange conversation between Chanel and Chad.
A very, very strange conversation because Chad is turned on by the idea of dead bodies.
Yeah, he's definitely a necrophiliac.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to see the body. He's horny.
Yeah, he's... Which is just a kind of... Because one thing about this show is that they kind of add these like little sort of twists to people that even if they're seemingly one way, like Chad, just like a horny jock guy, there's a lot of dark shit underneath him too, like sleeping with the dean or I get turned on by dead bodies. And they come off as funny ways, but they make some red herrings in a lot of ways too.
Yeah, which is great. We want a lot of red herrings in any kind of horror thing like this. Yeah. And they do it well with doing that with each character. Introducing something quirky and weird and funny, but underlining that with something dark that maybe, they're bullied or they like to sleep with dead people or whatever it might be that is like, okay, that's something a killer would probably do. So they open the freezer and Miss Bean is gone. Her body is not there.
Yeah. So that either means someone took it or she's alive.
Yes, that's what they conclude. Either she's alive, she's out to get revenge, or somebody moved the body. Which, obviously, if someone moved the body, it has to be someone that knows where the body is.
Oh, true.
Which, at this point now, is everybody.
Pretty much. Yeah. The whole cast.
Yeah.
And then Chad is mad that the body's not there. He says that he's blue-balled.
Yeah, he has blue balls now because he couldn't have sex in front of a dead body. And then we cut to the Kappa sisters, Chanel, 2, 3, and 5 are all around a circle going to perform a blood oath. But the blood oath goes off the rails very quickly. They talk about STDs. They don't want to transfer STDs. They don't want to transfer chlamydia. And then the pressure of this whole situation is getting to them.
This comes off a very American Horror Story Coven, too. Just as far as the visuals go. Not as far, like red cloak. That house looks like the neighbor to the American Horror Story Coven.
Well, they were both filmed in New Orleans.
Yeah, and I think... And I remember that too. So I guess like maybe that's just a homage to it. I think it's important that they had a little STD conversation. I just thought for whatever reason that was nice. Like to have them. I don't know. I thought it was
It was important to find out that Chanel number 3 has HPV.
No, it's just like, as sorority women to have just kind of like, well, first you should never do a blood oath, not because of STDs.
Yeah.
So I thought them just having that like taking the time to have that discussion, I thought was important. I don't know.
Yeah, it's important also because it capitalizes the severity of what they've all gone through. It gives them a chance to reflect and like for them to see just how serious what is going on around them. So this is the point where Chanel number 2, Ariana Grande, snaps and she's like, I can't. I'm done with this. Like I don't want to do a blood oath. I don't want to fucking hide a body. Miss Bean is alive and she's out to kill us now. Like I don't want to deal with all that. She's like, I'm going home. So she tears off her robe and she goes to her room to start packing because she's leaving. She's done with all this. She doesn't have time for it. And this is probably one of the most creative, campy murder scenes I've ever seen.
Listen, I think this was the best scene of this part of the pilot, in my opinion. I loved it. Let's talk about it. So Chanel number 2, REG, as I like to call her, is packing up or whatever. And then she gets a text from the Red Devil. And what does the text say?
Something like, are you brave enough?
Are you brave enough
to open the door?
Are you brave enough to turn around or to open the door? And then she does, and then there's the Red Devil, and then he texts, and then so she's standing there. The whole scene is silent, except for like some musical notes. And then he's like, "Do you want to dance?" And he texts her.
Yeah, they're literally standing in front of each other, texting each other back and forth. No dialogue. Even during the fight part of this, there aren't even any screams.
No, there's not. And then he kind of just like has this really romantic dip, like he dips her at one point.
He's like, "Do you want to dance with the devil?" And he dips her.
And then she comes up all like, "Hey, cutie," And then he texts her, "I'm gonna kill you now."
Yeah.
And then she said, "Wait, what?"
She texts that.
She texts that to him.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Ari has like a generic sort of text notification iPhone sound, and the devil has a little thing to it. I really like that. And then he stabs her. And
yeah, he stabs her in the neck, and she falls down, and she texts him, "Stop, please."
I know, please stop.
And then she crawls to her laptop and starts sending a tweet that the Red Devil is trying to kill her. So she composes this full ass tweet because she once he stabs her, she does get a moment to kick him away from her. She crawls over to the computer, writes this tweet. Before she can send it, he stabs her in the back, and she falls flat. And she pops back up quickly and presses enter and then dies.
I know.
This was a really fun, original, like definitely like a modern take on like classic, murder scenes.
Yeah, no, I think this felt like a Scream moment in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but like a modern take on it, like a modern,
like the most modern,
poking fun at it at the same time.
Yeah, because it's so silent. She could have easily screamed because all the other Chanels were downstairs.
Yeah.
It is just like, it is so great. I'm so glad that Ari was in this scene too, that it wasn't like another person.
And then obviously, Ari only signed a 1-episode deal.
Yeah, she's like, I'm very busy.
I think she comes back for a flashback.
She does.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm about to date Pete Davidson, so I need to be busy.
So then we see Chanel in her bedroom. She notices her window's open, so that's maybe where the Red Devil got in. She closes the window. She hears the screams. She runs to Chanel number 2's room, and they find her body dead on the floor. They say they can't move her until they figure out what happened. They don't know if Miss Bean came back and she's trying to kill them one by one. They don't know who did it.
Yeah.
They're not moving the body. They're going to figure out what's going on here before they do anything. So they just shut the door and walk away.
Yeah, then I have they all just went to the coffee shop. I don't.
Yeah, so then the pledges arrive for Hell Week. So they're downstairs, and before they can start Hell Week, Gracie and Zayday stand up and they're like, "We're taking over the sorority. We're done listening to you. You're a bunch of we're gonna do this the right way. We're gonna do this in a way that is, just and true to us,
We're gonna empower women."
Exactly. And Chanel's like, okay, you know what? We need to have a conversation because you're not taking over my fucking sorority. So Gracie and Chanel go to a coffee shop to have a conversation while Chanel number 3 and number 5 take the other girls and bury them up to their head in the backyard for a pledge event.
Yeah, and that pledge event is called the Sexy Gopher Whore Head Challenge.
Yes. I also wrote down that verbatim.
I love that. I could use that in other ways. So I thought it was funny that, like, I don't know where this coffee shop is, but Chanel and Grace go all the way to the coffee shop.
Instead of just like in the kitchen, in the basement.
Yeah. And then Chanel brings them 2 pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah.
And then she sits down. She's like, I love these, even though they make me obese. It's like, I can't. The most. Oh, my God.
So basically, she's trying to get Grace on her side to stop being like, you know, the hero of the group, and she wants her to just fall in line and just do whatever they say because Chanel doesn't want no change. So she offers her the role of Chanel number 6, and Grace turns it down. She's like, I don't want to be you. I want to, you know, do our own fucking thing.
No, because Grace wants to figure out what has hurt Chanel so bad that she treats people and acts like this.
Yeah, Grace just reads her right there. She just like calls her on her shit. And then Chanel kind of has a moment where you kind of see through the cracks. She's like, you're so confident without being mean. How do you do it? Which, like, I would also like to know. Because I have not been able to figure that out either. But yeah, so basically it just ends with her, you know, Grace tells her she can change and have a real sisterhood. And Chanel says, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. So Gracie just storms out.
You think you see like Chanel's gonna break, and she's like, "Actually, that's boring," you know?
Yeah.
She's like, "I'm not
so
into that."
Grace calls her pathetic and leaves. Yeah, she's not into that at all. She's not into changing. So yes, then we cut back to the Sexy Gopher Whorehead Challenge. All the girls are buried up to their head in the yard, and Chanel's 3 and 5 say you're gonna be here all night, so you can get to know each other, and you can't move because you're buried in the ground, obviously. And you know, after a few hours, they fall asleep, and we hear a little rattling coming from off in the distance.
And then Zayde's like, do I hear murder noises? I was like, call it out, Zayde. Call it the fuck out, because you know you do hear murder noises.
Yep. So they start to hear this. We see the devil turns on the lawnmower and is driving it towards the girl. So they all start freaking out. The devil's in the yard. He's on a lawnmower. Their heads are in the ground. So, you know, is he about to ride over their heads? Deaf Taylor Swift has no idea what's going on. She thinks they're all singing "Shake It Off." So she's just like closing her eyes and bopping along, and just like she doesn't know because all she sees is the girls' mouths open. She thinks they're singing, but they're actually screaming. And then we see the Red Devil come out on the lawnmower, and then it's when they all start freaking out. And the Red Devil kills Deaf Taylor Swift, literally runs over her head on the lawnmower.
I know. The funny thing about that lawnmower is that it has the same color and the same sleekness as the Red Devil himself.
Which was a choice.
Like, oh, I love that. Yeah. I was like, go you gay ass slasher. You get that branding correct.
This queen. Okay. This John Deere queen.
I know. And then that's just how it ends.
Yeah, that's the end of part 1.
Well, because it's part 1. I loved it. I
loved it too, yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I really had a lot of fun with this episode.
It definitely had some problematic moments, which we talked about. But
which one do you think is the most?
I don't know. I just think like there's a lot of race conversation in here, and I get that he's trying to establish that fraternities and sororities are racist, which a lot of them are. But I just think he comes across in a way that's a little grating. I don't know.
Well, I think it's racist and very much classist too, because then you know Chanel.
But there's more of a commentary on the class stuff
instead of just like straight up
making fun of it.
Okay, I hear you there.
So Chanel's obviously going to be the problematic character of the series. We'll just have to get used to that. What do you think is the most Ryan Murphy moment of the episode?
I don't know. You go first.
I would say just the overall tone of like scenes where deaf Taylor Swift gets her head cut off while she's singing "Shake It Off," or the girls are dancing around waterfalls while another bitch is up in the tub dying.
Oh, you
those
know what?
moments where it's like bright, happy, we don't give a fuck, but like something hugely dark's going on.
I agree. So it's definitely the waterfall scene.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely the one for me.
Yeah.
Ryan.
But this is very much like a great balance of Ryan, Brad, and Ian. I think it's peak. It's peak Ryan.
Oh, definitely a peak.
And I'm really excited to finish out this season. 12 episodes to go, I think.
Well, I'm excited for our part 2 next week. It's like, who are we? We just began.
Wait, are
this
we doing
podcast.
next week or are we doing it the next time?
Oh, yes, next time.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
like the next episode that's released.
Yes. Wait, no, what? Of the show or of Scream Queens?
Of You and I, the Ryan Murphy project.
So you're saying next week you want it to be Scream Queens Part 2?
Yeah, like we should finish part 2, and then release. Like that's the next thing that we should record.
Oh, really?
I think so. I mean, they're kind of like they're marinated together. Or
Okay.
like, I don't
yeah.
know how you say it.
I mean, but
You
it is a
know, it's
cliffhanger.
like-
We leave them in the yard.
I know, but even when
I love how we're having these like creative discussions for everyone to hear.
you bet cut it. No, no, but I do think that it is like the way that it is. It would make sense for us to do that. It was a 2-hour premiere, and I guess that's just my vote.
Okay, we could do that. Yeah, and then it just means we're delaying American Crime Story.
Then that's okay. That's gonna be a tricky one.
All right, so change of plans then. Next week we're gonna do Scream Queens Part 2.
I thought that we were on the same page. Cut all of this, by the way.
No, I'm fine. I mean, honestly, I'm fine with that. I don't really care. We're gonna do it eventually anyway. It just means it's just gonna shorten this.
Yeah,
time.
I think so. Yeah, okay. Next episode, Scream Queen. Yeah,
you just love a Part 2 episode, bitch.
I just need a Part 2 episode because we're coming out of the gate and the guns is blazing.
Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, yeah, I guess we can bang out 2 Scream Queens and get this ball moving, and then it'll be American Crime Story, and then Feud, and then 911, and then Pose, The Politician, and Hollywood. We still got a lot of pilots left, baby.
Well, I'm excited for the ride. I've actually been enjoying. Like, I'm curious to see how the show is gonna evolve outside of just pilots.
Yeah.
Because pilots have a lot to like. It's almost like we could make a show just breaking down pilots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because there's so much ingrained and needed and necessary for a pilot, just a pilot. So to go forward, it's gonna be interesting.
All right. So that's our Scream Queens episode, Part 1. Part 2 will be next episode. We will dive back into Hell Week. We will pick up on the aftermath of deaf Taylor Swift's death. See some more sexy ass Chad Radwell and Boone.
We'll see if he ever. I know, yeah, sexual tension.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
Hopefully, he released himself of those blue balls and
hopefully
and
we
Nick
get
Jonas
to see it.
Helped.
Yeah, so that's it. That's Scream Queens Part 1. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the little breakdown here.
And then follow us on social media.
Where?
At the RyanMurphyProject.com. I mean, sorry, not that. Where'd that come from? At the Ryan Murphy Project on Instagram. You could also find me on my Instagram, Mr. Angelion, and Eric at I Hate... Say my Instagram name. At I Hate Eric Wilson. We will see you soon.
Yes. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Bye.